3, the third time I've tried, so maybe the third time's the charm here. I'm going to see if we are rolling now, if we have sound, and if the camera is moving. That's the older one. So if you are jumping on now, leave me a comment. I'm trying to get rid of the other videos. Okay, I think this is the one that's gonna work. I think it's gonna work this time. Those of you just jumping on, thanks for your patience. I'm trying to get the live stream to actually work, and see if I can make it work. So if you can hear me, let me know in a comment below. If you can see me, let me know in a comment. And also, I'm just deleting the other ones because that's going to be confusing for everyone watching this 3-minute video of me freezing. Delete forever. Yes. Okay. So I see Kitty Kaylee is chatting. And I'm going to check the channel one more time just to see if we have audio rolling and video rolling and everything's rolling how it should be. Yes, we're here this time, guys. Yay. And I think our connection's better now. Thank you to everyone for your patience with that. And all those links, you guys, that I sent out are now not going to work. So I'm going to take a moment to share the correct link to the places it needs to be. And while I'm doing that, say hey, say hello in the chat. Let us know you're here and how things are going, how you're dealing with the energies, and all that beautiful stuff. Kirsten says hello. Mary says hi. Thank you, Kitty Kaylee. You can hear me and see me. All right. So we're going to talk tonight about the gifts in your chart. I'm actually super excited because we're going to be doing a live webinar on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's going to go into this topic even deeper, but I wanted to come on and just kind of, talk about why it's exciting and what you can learn from it, why you should join it. And that's what we're going to do. So, okay. I'm just seeing all your comments saying hello everyone. Let's talk about the gifts in your chart. And I would love for this live to be a little bit more of a conversation. I'd love to hear from you. Do you guys feel like you know what your gifts are when it comes to astrology? And, what do you know? What do you look for? If you're like, I want to find the gifts in my chart, where are you looking? What placements do you feel like you have a good handle on? Which ones do you want to know more about? Tell me everything. This is one of the reasons why I became interested in astrology, was to see my potential and how to more easily rise to it, because many of you don't know, I had a really hard time figuring out how to have a spiritual business. Before astrology, I tried so many things starting in 2012. So this wasn't just a couple years ago. In 2012, I became a Reiki level 1. And then after that, maybe the year after, level 2. And then later, I started reading tarot. I believe Reiki really opened me up to everything else. I started learning tarot, and then I went and trained for 2 years. And I trained at a school called Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, SWIHA. I went to SWIHA and I learned coaching. I learned hypnotherapy. I learned ethics, which I cannot be, I'm so grateful for that. Not every spiritual person has ethics. Not every psychic person has ethics, right? They don't, just because someone has abilities doesn't mean they know how to use them. You know, sometimes people get information, they don't know how to deliver the information, et cetera, et cetera. So super grateful for that ethics course, and just like energy anatomy and essential oils. Like I trained in so many different modalities. But it was just seeking, you know, I was seeking the right thing, the right skill to like click into place. And finally, astrology is what did it. Kirsten, sorry. I have a friend named Kirsten and she spells it like that. Kirsten says wanting to learn Reiki. Yeah, Reiki is wonderful. I think it's really good to like help us open up, you know? And in my case, I didn't know how blocked I was. I had no idea. Alternative medicine, you're drawn to that too? Yeah. Good stuff. So let me see here. So yeah, so I did not just wake up one day as an astrologer. I had a pretty challenging, doubtful, and depressed path to this work where the whole time I was like, am I heading the right way? Which is perhaps why I love guiding people now, because I can say, yes, you are, you know, or I can say, go this way, or whatever the case may be. So Rikara is asking, who are you asking me? So those of you just jumping on, welcome on. We're talking about your gifts in your astrology chart, and I would like to know from you guys, do you know what your gifts are, especially when it comes to finding them in the chart? Where have you looked? Is it working? What are your challenges? You know, where do you get stuck looking for your gifts? I would really love to hear. And I will be sharing in this video some things about what things to look at. And then you guys can also join me this Saturday. I'm going to do a live webinar. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to go really, really in depth into how to find your gifts using the chart. This webinar will be for people who are not total beginners. You need to be able to like know what house your Saturn is in, know what a trine is. Like I'm not going to explain that stuff. So it's called Find the Gifts in Your Chart, and it's free. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to drop the link here, and then I'm going to pin that to the top of the page. So you guys can sign up for that whenever you want. Hopefully that link is active and working. My month, day, birthday. My birthday is December 17th. So yeah, have you tried to find your gifts in your chart? Have you found it lacking? Do you get confused? This is not going to be a training. Rikara is saying I have my chart up. This isn't quite going to be a training like that where you need to look at your chart while we're doing it. We're just going to talk about this. So every placement has a gift, and how do I put it? Not all gifts are created equal. Not all gifts are as easy to find. Not all gifts are monetizable. And some gifts come with some crap. You know, like everything has a balance. Every gift has a challenge. If you have the gift of being beautiful, you will also have the challenge of people being jealous of you. If you have the gift of managing money, you also have the challenge of how to manage that money, the responsibility that comes with it. And I think it's really easy for us to wish we had someone else's gifts. I spent a lot of my life wishing I had someone else's gifts. But I don't, and I can't tell you how many astrology videos I watched trying to find the gifts in my chart. I'd watch all these videos. You guys let me know if this happened to you. I'd watch all these videos on like wealth placements in the chart, and it would be like, no, not me. And then it would be like beauty in the chart. No, not me. Brains in the chart. No, nope, don't have any of those. Spiritual power in the chart. Nope. Don't have any of those. And like I would keep going. And I would just so I'm not going to respond to the stuff that's like telling me about my chart, you guys. I don't like that. And we might have to do another video about permission because that is important to me. Okay, so what was I saying? Just like how I would look for all these different gifts in my chart, and I didn't have any of them. I had all the shitty stuff. And, I just kept finding the challenges in my chart. So let me know in a comment, drop a comment if you relate to that. JMD likes Scorpio moons over Scorpio suns. Jack says, what up? What up? Kitty Kaylee is saying Scorpio moon. I'm not sure where all to look, but I know I'm intuitive and clairvoyant and still have some learning to do to reach my higher potential. Totally. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you already have a gift and it's working in the world, you don't necessarily need to find it in the chart, right? But understanding sometimes the gifts that you don't know you have, that can be helpful. And sometimes as astrologers, we are having to, it's like sometimes we don't know we have our gifts. Sometimes okay, see, and this is what I'm talking about. Mary is saying, I see all the bad stuff in my chart. Comment below if you feel like that. You feel like my chart is fucked. My chart is a hot mess. It's chaotic. These are all things people say to me. And I feel like that too sometimes, where I'm like, this chart sucks. Why didn't I get a good one? And one of the things I'll say is that there's something in one of the books I have, Parker's Astrology, and he says the worst people have the best charts. The worst people have the best charts. And that's because when someone has only easy aspects in their chart, they will take advantage of that. And so even though challenges suck to have, they are the things that make us better people. And sometimes there's ways to overcome the challenges, right? So there's gifts in your chart that you will just naturally have. You don't have to do anything. There's gifts you have to unlock. There's gifts that only come after you learn a certain lesson. Saturn. There's gifts of a challenging placement. So let's just talk about one placement as an example. So like, let's say me, I'll just talk about something negative about my chart. I have Mercury in Sagittarius. Mercury in Sagittarius is not known for its ability to focus. It's one of the negative placements of Mercury. And I don't work too strongly, you guys, with dignities and abilities, which is what we have in the chart. It's what the ancient astrologers, the traditional astrologers will use to assess a planet's strength. I use a modified, simpler version of this because I haven't learned all those rules. But basically, Mercury can be in a sign that it does well, or it can be a sign that it doesn't do well. Sagittarius is one where it doesn't do well, and I could see that in my life, right? Because Mercury and Sagittarius will space out. They will not want to focus. They will not have the energy to think about things. And that, when I heard that, the placement described as that, I was like, oh my God, that is my whole life. Where it's like, even though I have mental ability, sometimes with that placement, I don't feel like thinking about it. And so I've had to learn how to just kind of overcome that. But what is my point? See, I just rambled. My point is, technically, if I just saw that negative thing in my chart and only looked at that one thing in isolation, didn't consider my life or what I want to do or what my goals are, I wouldn't be here. I would say, oh man, my Mercury is fucked. I'm not going to be able to have a YouTube channel. right? And so this is what we don't want to do with astrology. We don't want to only see the negative in our chart and let it stop us. It's okay to look at the challenges. And the thing is, when you're looking at the negative like this and you're looking at the challenges, what one difference it makes is self-love. Like the amount of self-love that you have will make this process actually productive versus not productive. So I want to check the comments here. Um, yeah, you got to work with the energies you have. Exactly. Um, yeah, Kitty's saying, yeah, I have bad things in my chart too. And that's part of why, I'm not sitting here being like, my chart is the best chart. And if your chart isn't, you suck. That's not really the best way to use astrology, but it's easy to fall into that trap of like, well, fuck, all these other people got all these good placements. What am I supposed to do over here? But the thing is, we all have a sun sign, we all have a Saturn, right? And so this is an example. We all have a Saturn, and Saturn is where if you work your ass off, you can have mastery of that thing, but only if you work really, really hard. Okay. 3 planets in detriment. Yes. Okay. So Karen, Mercury and Pisces is also considered bad because Mercury wants to be organized and focused. And Pisces, I can't remember what one of them is detriment and one of them is at fall. I think it's at fall in Pisces at detriment in Sag, but I could be wrong about that. Anyway, Mercury is not happy there. So the thing about that though is Mercury and Pisces might struggle with focus or attention, especially when it comes to, honestly, avoidance almost, where it's like Mercury and Pisces would rather be dreaming about stuff than thinking about the practical next steps. And can be, because Pisces is very like diffusing, it can diffuse your focus and make it hard to like zero in on something and go straight after it. But the beautiful thing about Mercury and Pisces, you can be the best storyteller. You can write poetry. You can speak in a way that's so infused with the emotions of the collective consciousness because, it's like, and this might be a challenge for Mercury and Pisces, is you feel everything, like it's trying to communicate everything that the universe contains. And sometimes that's hard to even put into words. So, my point here is that you can work with your bad placements, and even the worst placements still have something good about them. Sometimes the good thing is more felt by the other people around you than by you yourself, just depending on what it is. What Jack is saying, Mercury and Sag is a money aspect. Tell me more about that. Natalie's here. Jamie's laughing. Saturn and Aries, no tenacity. Kirsten says, yep, on self-love. Self-love has made all the difference. Self-worth. JMD, got to consider the whole chart. Gemini Venus gets a bad rep for being cheaters. The Gem Venus I know is the most loyal person I know and never cheated. Good example. And this is like I'm going to make a video on this, like how not to use astrology. Decide every Mercury Venus cheats. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good to decide people are their aspects either because, conditioning, the way you're raised, your own moral compass, whether you have integrity or not, just because you can use something to your advantage in your chart doesn't mean you're going to, etc., etc. Yes. They say people with more squares have remarkable success. That's another one. Yes, squares can be success because it's like in order to be successful, you need the resistance to push against. There are people with squares who aren't successful. I have a pretty, at least one like really tight square in my chart by aspect, and my sun, moon, and rising make a T-square by sign. And I wouldn't say I have a remarkable success, but I will say that it gives you that drive. It gives you that inner resistance, that inner resistance to push off of, definitely. Hi, XOXO. Oh, yeah. Kitty says it's brought you clarity daily. Yeah. Awesome. Neptune, Jupiter conjunct in your first house of Sag, Mercury and Venus in Gemini, 10th house. Yes. Yes, about squares. So yeah, you guys. What else was I gonna tell you guys? I had some notes I was gonna tell you guys stuff about, but I'll try to remember what I was gonna say. The first thing was I wanted to talk about the sun because the sun is actually one of the gifts that a lot of people don't see in themselves. Sometimes people don't relate to their sun sign. Comment below, you guys. Do you relate to your sun sign? Or not? I relate to mine so strong, and it took me a long time to realize that this was a thing, probably because I have many planets in that same sign. But sometimes people with their sun, like in the 12th or 8th house, might not relate to it. People with Saturn conjunct their sun might not relate to it. Sometimes if you're born at night, that means you have a night chart. That means your sun. Now, night chart and day chart isn't like you were born in daytime or nighttime. It's actually night chart means sun is below the horizon. So you could be born at 3 a.m., still have a night chart. So some people with night charts relate more to their moon sign. Oh, I could see how that Pisces moon would really, really be definitely balance out that Leo sun. Um, and sometimes when people don't relate to their sun, this is just my own personal belief, kind of opinion, but it's that I think our sun is our core essence, who we are. It's like a driving force within us. But sometimes I think it's like the essence that emanates from us. It's like our life force energy. And I think with the sun, we don't always feel it. I think that it's like our aura. And that what we feel is like our moon sign because that's our emotions, right? And we're more connected sometimes to our emotions, depending on the person, I think. Yeah, alchemal fitness you relate to your sun. Mars and Leo. That's okay, XOXO. Mars and Leo isn't bad. You're driven. You can actually do things at least. And like people with eighth house malefics, that would be Mars. So Mars or Saturn in the eighth. Oftentimes, these are the people who are like the natural psychologists, or they might tend to go into that field because they can handle other people's trauma. And that's one of the gifts. So this is an example of like a gift that doesn't always feel like a gift to the person, like unless they know they have it, right? So unless somebody sits you down or you sit down and you're like, I'm good at this, sometimes we wander through life and we don't necessarily realize the things that feel like suffering to us or feel like challenges to us are gifts in some way, right? Like somebody who's very creative might be like, well, I'm not organized, right? My Mercury sucks or whatever. But then they might be the coolest people to be around, right? They might just be like the easiest people to be around. Karen, you feel more like you're rising. Yeah. Jack was talking about his son. Okay. I'm trying to go back and see that. Okay. So basically, yeah, our placements can be the placements oftentimes that are the most challenging. Usually there's a gift there that we don't know it's there. I'm trying to think of what else. I'm going to pull up the notes I made because I had some other things I wanted to talk about. Do you guys find it easy? It sounds like you guys find it easier to see your challenges than your gifts. And if that's true, me too. Donna's here. You're guided by that moon in the 6th. Yeah. Oh, I wanted to talk about how sometimes we'll have gifts, but we don't know we have them. And part of the reason we don't have a gift, especially when it comes to like our potential career and abilities and stuff, basically, we don't know we have a gift sometimes until either a transit activates it or until we start trying to do it. Does that make sense? So my example here is, I don't know how old I was. It was this a while ago, probably almost 10 years ago. I'm old. Almost 10 years ago, I started reading tarot. And I did not know this would be a gift. And I remember I'm telling you guys a story of one of the first tarot readings I did. It was amazing. I had started reading. I didn't know if I was going to be good at it. And I remember I joined this online thing where you pay money to give free readings, to be a member of this like online community where you can give like X amount of free readings every week. And it was really cool to get a chance to read for total strangers online and just get the feedback. That was the deal. So it was so cool. And I remember, one, I got amazing feedback, but one of the first readings I ever did was this guy, and he asked me, his question was like something along the lines of, I want to leave everything behind or something. And I was like, what's going on? So I did this reading for this guy, and I was like, I think you're going to get rid of all your earthly possessions, move overseas, do something, go to a monastery, do something like this, lead a monastic life. I remember typing that in the email. This guy, his feedback was, I already booked the ticket. And I remember just being like, whoa, because I mean, yeah, I had studied some stuff, but to me, this felt like a huge validation. And it was so like at the time, the thing about using like intuitive gifts is that you don't know you're right. Like, it's not like you get this clear hit and you're like, I know this, I know this, I know this. At least that's not how it came through for me. I would not know I was right unless the person gave me feedback that it was right. And so, that was an example of a gift I did not know I had. And, the thing with Pisces moon, though, I think, is that we have to be really clear if we're going to use our intuition in work. We have to make sure we're not like picking up on our own energies and just saying it. um, uh, Jamie, okay, yeah, Jamie, do it. Get a reading with me. So moving on from that, the point of that story is that sometimes you got to try using the gift, regardless of what your chart says, before you'll be able to see it. Yeah, everyone is gifted. I think that's true. I think everyone has something they're good at. I think some people have like many gifts. I mean, I think of like famous people who have like a bunch of gifts, right? Or in some cases, a bunch of potential gifts that they worked hard to realize, right? Talents are not always gifts. That's another thing. And I'm going to talk in the free webinar, I'm going to talk about Lady Gaga's chart and one of her gifts with one of her trines. So for those of you just jumping on, you can join there's a link to join the webinar that I'm doing on Saturday. It's going to be live, but only if you sign up. So you guys should come. It's going to be a lot of fun. Donna says the first reading you did for me was oddly extremely helpful. I'm glad it was extremely helpful. What else? Okay, so Jack is asking, actually I missed something here. Annie says I found out about my Chiron. That's one I'll talk about more in the class a little bit. What does Jupiter? So Alchemical Fitness, I don't do answers to questions like that, where it's like, what does this placement in this sign? What does my chart mean? But basically, it's inspiring people usually. Oftentimes with that, you're going to struggle with putting in the next steps. You'll have this big, huge dream and career, but you won't know how to reach it. That's a standard Jupiter and MC with Pisces there, meaning. Okay, yeah. So having your North Node, Jamie, conjunct your rising. Jack is asking who influenced you in astrology. Thanks for referring me to Jan Spiller. I loved her book just because it has so much in-depth information. As far as my influences, like astrologers I follow, I mean, I might do a video just telling you guys all my books because there's so many of them. And I'm still learning, like, remember, I didn't start learning astrology until 2020. I have been studying astrology not even 2 years. So keep that in mind. But who influences me? I mean, Rick Levine, I went to one of his workshops before I even started learning astrology. He does like free readings, like 3 people get a reading there in his monthly thing. I was in Washington at the time, so that was fun with my friend Angie. It was so fun. She like recorded me and everything. It was so fun. And I just like took one of his little mini courses. I don't know him personally, but he would be a strong influence just because, when you meet someone in person, it's different. And he's a wizard and he knows so much. Other influences, the Leo King is a strong influence. I've been following him for quite some time. I took his Love Master class. Pluto by Jeffrey Wolf Green. I just started reading his books. I think I will probably continue. I'm really, really, really impressed with the depth of his work. I'm usually not satisfied when I buy astrology books. I'm like, well, that only gave me a piece of information, and then I find the next one, but not with Pluto. I'm still working on it, like digesting it all. Jack is asking what planets can give the obvious gifts besides Jupiter, maybe Venus. As far as like this planet represents a gift period, probably Venus. But I think it depends on the planet because any planet that's well placed can be a gift, right? So someone with a well placed Mars or, Mars in a positive aspect, they're going to have the gift of being motivated or gift of the ability to put things into action, etc., etc. Karen says, awesome. Okay, so Anna's saying I'm a Scorpio rising, but not sure how to implement that with my Pisces North Node. They seem so opposing. I would say when you feel like your planets are opposing like that, your rising and your North Node, with the rising, you want to live out the highest version of it. And with the North Node, you want to just try to take baby steps toward it. And it doesn't have to be in the same area of life. So, being inspired and trusting the universe, that's totally doable for you. Yeah, Jack says we have to be positive with Pisces moon. Yes, it is. It can be, you can get really weighed down with negativity. Yeah. How can I produce good results for Pisces moon? I think you said it. I think also honoring your sensitivity and where you need to withdraw. If you need to withdraw and have quiet time and recharge and letting yourself have that time, letting yourself dream, letting yourself inspire, and knowing that Pisces moon are usually a breath of fresh air for the people around them. JMD, does Saturn ascendant aspects indicate late bloomer physical wise? So you mean Saturn opposite your ascendant? I wouldn't necessarily read it that way personally, but Saturn can be a late bloomer. I would read that if it's on the descendant, I would read that more as a late bloomer in relationships or relationships with people who are either much older or much younger. Karen tried Reiki. Oh, you know what? I can understand that. And there is possibly for Pisces moon a lesson of detachment because you can be so invested, right? And so I get what you're saying, Karen, because it's like with Reiki, you are not supposed to use your own energy. You're supposed to channel it and let it flow through you and like not try at all. And this is something I would say I had to learn the hard way really with Reiki, how to let the energy flow without trying to make it flow. Definitely. Jack is asking Placidus or whole sign. I like both. People always ask me this, and I'm like, I like both. If you're an astrologer, you kind of have to figure that stuff out yourself too. It's like you have to just play with the different ones and see which one you like. Pluto, yeah, it's the USA's Pluto return. That's true. So going back to the topic of gifts in your chart, today's live is a little more conversational. But we're talking about what are your gifts in your astrology chart. And we're kind of just chit-chatting about the different gifts of the different placements and stuff like that. Natalie can't sit still. I know you told me about that problem. And, the thing is that for someone who is like really depressed, right? They wish they had an Aries moon. Or, a Pisces moon who gets stuck in their emotions would wish they could have some of that energy sometimes. Kitty is asking, okay, so if you want to know about your Chiron, I have videos on each one of those, so I'm not going to go into that one today. So finding the gifts in your chart. What else did I want to talk about? I talked about the sun. I told you guys a story about how, sometimes you have to start doing the thing before the gift shows up, astrology or not. So the sun is one of the placements that really can give us gifts because it's like the place where we shine. So the positive aspects of that sign tend to be good, but we're also going to have the negative ones, right? So if you have sun in Aries, you might be really good at being direct and taking initiative, but you also might be a little too fast for some people. That doesn't mean you should stop, but sometimes impatience might be a challenge. So then the next one would be Venus. Venus can be a gift because it's what we love. And so usually when we love something, we're better at it because we like it, right? Like if I love being on video, I'm going to be better on video than someone who hates it, right? If you love reading, you're going to probably read more. And when you do something, what a lot of people I think don't always realize is that doing the thing is what makes you good at it. And so when you love doing a thing, you can do the thing. And when you do the thing, you can get good at the thing. So this is kind of why Venus contains a gift, is because, and also just Venus being the planet of love and harmony, and Venus being all about what we love about life. C loves your 8th house Pisces. Sweet. So yeah, what else did I want to tell you guys? Jupiter can be a gift, but it can be kind of overrated. So Jupiter is going to be a gift because it's, it can expand whatever it touches, right? So like if you have Jupiter, whatever sign you have Jupiter in, I have videos on Jupiter, that's going to be a sign that you can just naturally be better at that thing. You might get more bang for your buck if you're trying to do that thing. So if you have Jupiter in Gemini, the efforts you put into speaking or communicating, it's like you'll get more back for those efforts. This does not mean you should only speak or communicate. It just means that when it comes to that sphere of life, you're going to tend to have Jupiter make it better. Or if your Gemini is all messed up, Jupiter will make it less bad. And then Jupiter is going to be stronger if you have a day chart. Venus will be stronger if you have a night chart, because if you have a night chart, Venus is your strongest planet. I have Jupiter in Aquarius, which Einstein had. Just saying. Actually, I think, yeah, Einstein had that one. Oprah Winfrey got Jupiter in Gemini. That makes sense. You guys know more than I do. So then, there's also, we can look to aspects for gifts as well. And I think that many aspects, whether they're difficult or easy, there's some that are just tough, okay? So, like, if you got a Mars Uranus aspect, that's going to be some anger issues. That's going to be like sudden anger. That's not going to, like, I'm not going to tell you there's a bright side to that. It's challenging. There's other placements that are more notoriously bad, like Mars Pluto. I have that one. You can use it for good, but the placement itself can bring challenges that are, would take work to overcome. So I'm not one of these astrologers who's going to tell you that like everything has a positive. Everything doesn't, but a lot of things do. Even aspects, and this is the thing about aspects. Aspects oftentimes are opposite of what we think. So the easy aspects, even though there is an ease there, there's actually a downside to easy aspects. I'm going to talk more about this in the webinar, but basically there is such thing as too much ease, and the way we react to it can be a challenge. C says, okay, Einstein, my Jupiter is in 10th, 11th house cusp. Sweet. That's good for career, work, money. That 11th house, money from career. I'm a little jealous of those Jupiter 10th house people. But anyway, and sometimes, even a good planet can cause challenges too, right? So like Jupiter in a sign where it represents overindulgence, you might overindulge more. So it's not like Jupiter's a magic thing that only has good to it. And there's no ceiling. Who is life learners? There's no ceiling. Okay, so then the other one that I'm not going to go into in detail today is the biquintile aspect. Drop a comment if you've heard of this one. The biquintile is a fifth harmonic, and that fifth harmonic is interesting. It's interesting. So quintiles are like quintile or biquintile they're interpreted the same. They're like our hidden talents. They might not be hidden. They're talents, and not everyone has them, but if you do, this is going to be usually an area where you can have the drive to create something beautiful. Now, cafeastrology.com will tell you definitions of biquintiles, but usually they're pretty weak. I think just brainstorming the signification of one planet and the other planet, and just kind of brainstorming what a talent with those two things could be is actually probably a better way to go. Someone else is saying Jupiter and Pisces. Donna has Jupiter in the 4th with the North Node. That's a good one. Jupiter on the North Node is good. It will guide you toward your North Node. Okay, all of us. So the biquintile is another one that's really, really good to understand if you want to understand your talents, especially like the things you could be excellent at, right? Things that you could be really, really good at. Oftentimes with the biquintile or the quintile, you're going to be driven to perfect that thing anyway, whether you try or not. It's just like a natural part of your personality. And I think squares can bring squares, oppositions, even though they're challenging aspects, they can bring gifts to them. It's just knowing what to focus on and how to use the gift. And I can't tell you guys how much our minds just naturally go toward the negative, because it's like we could be like the most talented speaker in the world, and in our chart it's like there's a relationship challenge, and we're like, how do I fix my relationships? There's a tendency, this is psychology. There's a tendency for the mind to focus on negative things more than positive things. It's like a survival thing. And so, like, it's totally normal to have your challenges be huge and your gifts like they're non-existent to you. And so it's so funny because I'll tell someone about their challenge. Um, See you, Jack. You must be leaving. Um, I'll tell someone about their challenge and they're like, oh my God, yes, yes. And then I'll tell them about their gift and they're like, yeah, I'm good at that. And this happens like every time where it's like, aren't you really? I'm like, aren't you really good at that? It's like sometimes we don't realize how good that gift is because we don't know what it's like to live without it. It's just how life is for us. We don't realize other people don't have that gift until someone tells us. And this is one of the challenges as an astrologer, is to help someone put that in perspective without being like, they're starving people in Africa. Okay, so some of you guys have quintiles. Yeah, quintile. I'll tell you guys about mine. Let me make sure I got it right because I'll get it wrong. I think I have Jupiter, Saturn. I'm going to check it. Let me double check. I hate it when I say stuff that's wrong. Yeah, I have Jupiter, quintile, Saturn. It's a pretty tight aspect. So like what that would mean is that my Jupiter, which is like teaching, philosophy, finding the meaning in life, and my Saturn, which is like discipline, organization, order, structure, stability, authority. These things can have some kind of talent. What do? I come on here and I teach you guys about astrology. And I wouldn't say I'm an authority, but I would say that people treat me like what I have to say is the word of God sometimes. And that's that talent, right? That desire to create something beautiful. Venus. The Venus is similar to the quintile because of the aspect. What degrees is a quintile? A quintile is 72. Biquintile is 144. C is learning aspects. Okay. Limitations are based on our earthly experiences. That's true. Sometimes I think of like that phrase or that story that's like, I'm going to say it weird, but it's like a lion who's raised by sheeps and thinks it's a sheep. Do you guys know what the story I'm talking about? And it's like, it doesn't know it's a lion, right? So whatever our conditioning is, we don't know we're lions. We don't always know what potential we have. Oh, C has a 5th house stellium. Yeah, stelliums are cool. I have one too. They're pretty common. Lots of people have stelliums, especially because the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, they never travel too far from each other. So oftentimes that trio will be in the same sign. So then if you got an outer planet or two, the more outer planets in the stellium, I would say the more rare it is. But yeah, stelliums are not really good or bad necessarily. They're just concentrations of energy. Oh, and Casey's bringing in the septile. I just took a course by Rick Levine on the septile, and it was incredible. I'm going to have to talk about septiles at some point. And at this point, my laptop is going to die soon. So for those of you still here, thanks for hanging out. Be sure to sign up for my webinar on Saturday. This will be you only get access if you sign up. And it's going to be all about more on how to find the gifts in your chart. I'm going to tell you more about some specific placements you can look at in your chart and how to work with them and find the gift. I won't be giving like definitions of every single possible combination, but I will be telling you how to work with some of the three that I think are most significant for whatever reason. I'm going to talk all about it. So come join us. There's a link actually pinned to the chat. And thanks for coming, you guys. There's also another video scheduled tonight in about 25 minutes. That's the full moon in Sag. So if you want to watch that, thank you, Casey. Then you can. And also don't forget to join us on Friday at 6:30 where I do live readings here on the channel. You can PayPal or Venmo me $35, no refunds. And we can do a live reading right on the spot. Some of you want to come and watch and enjoy it. That's cool. I will ask, though, for any of you coming or who have already come, that you guys don't read for each other during this event. I'm going to really be strict on that from now on, and I'll talk more about why on the next video. But yes, thank you to everyone who's been just commenting and liking. And if you think my videos could help someone, feel free to share them. When you guys comment on my videos, this is what helps me grow the most. So I appreciate it the most. And keep it up because like that is what is like helping this channel grow. So thank you all so much. And thanks for coming and hanging out. And I will talk to you guys